A private Christian school in Oregon is suing the state's governor for not allowing it to offer in-person learning despite allowing public schools of the same size to resume in-person classes amid coronavirus restrictions. Hermiston Christian School is being allowed to open as a daycare facility, but could face penalties, including jail time and fines, if students in its facility for daycare receive in-person instruction. Ryan Tucker, senior counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom and director of the Center for Christian Ministries, joins me now on Skype. ADF is representing the school in this case. Ryan, welcome back. So nice to see you. So let's talk a little bit more about this case. There certainly appears to be different standards or guidelines for private and public schools. Why do you think that is?
Well, there absolutely are. Oregon is really targeting religious schools in the state. If you're a small public school, meaning you're less than 75 students, you're eligible to open for in-person learning. On the other hand, if you're a small religious school, again, 75 kids or less, you are not allowed to even apply to reopen for in-person instruction. So the state is allowing public schools one thing and denying the same benefit to religious schools, and that's unconstitutional, and it's just lacking in common sense.
Right. As far as the governor is concerned, Catherine Brown, has she said anything about this?
She really hasn't. She did say 2 days ago that she would take another look at her guidelines. And as you mentioned before, this school is open during the day as a daycare facility. The state Board of Education has approved it as a daycare facility. So the exact same students that would attend the school for hours, they can be watched. They can be, made sure that they don't harm themselves or, they don't get hurt on the playground. But the moment that these principals or the teachers decide to teach them anything, then they can go to prison. It's a 30-day imprisonment penalty and a $1,250 fine potentially.
It's so odd to me. So the school is allowed to function as a daycare facility. And of course, to me, I would think that would indicate that it's following the recommendations by the health and safety guidelines. So wouldn't the school be able to function as a school in that case?
Well, one would think, and in fact, the state has sent them documentation showing that they applaud their health and safety protocols. So the state is saying, on the one hand, sure, you can have these kids there for hours on end. So you can, watch over little Johnny. You can make sure he's not, doing anything he shouldn't during the course of the day. Again, but the moment you start teaching him anything, well, then the person doing so could go to prison for it. And it's just it's complete nonsense. It's unconstitutional. And that's why we had to step in to represent the school.
Brian, can you talk about how this is impacting the teachers and the families there?
Well, it's very difficult. I'm the father of 4. We all know how Zoom school works, and there are some students that are still doing that during this time frame. And even the governor herself has come out and said that remote learning just isn't working. And so it's had a drastic effect. Obviously, these teachers are put in this weird position of being able to watch over students, but making sure that they don't teach them anything. And so where that line is drawn is obviously confusing, and it just makes no sense that you can, do one thing for 7 hours during the day that on the flip side, you can't teach them anything. The virus doesn't know the difference between a kid being watched over and one that's being taught. And our hope is that the governor, the state itself, rights this wrong. But otherwise, if they don't, we will continue to pursue our case.
Yeah. And what would you like to see happen next? And what's going to happen to the school?
Well, the school is about 8 miles south of the Washington border. So it's really in a difficult spot because there are students in that community who have the option to go north to the state of Washington, where their schools are open and are open for in-person instruction. And so, this poor school is facing this dynamic of parents coming to them and saying, why should I pay money for daycare when I can have my kids instructed just a few miles north of here. And so it's put them in a very difficult spot. And again, our hope is that the governor will right this wrong, that the state officials will come in, correct these guidelines that are just not even sensical. But if she doesn't, if the state itself doesn't remedy this, again, we'll look to put this before the court next week.
Ryan, thanks so much for your time. Please keep us posted. Ryan Tucker, Senior Counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom and the Director of the Center for Christian Ministries. Thanks again.
Thank you.